There are moments in the steady, relentless march of time when the world seems to pause on the edge of an unseen precipice, suspended between the quiet, ordinary rhythms of daily life and the sudden, devastating shock of a reality that can never be undone. For decades, modern culture has been shaped by the faces and voices that illuminated our television screens, the young performers who grew up before our eyes in an era when entertainment transformed from a living room pastime into a ceaseless, glowing spectacle. We invite these individuals into our homes, watching them evolve from wide-eyed child actors into household names, projecting onto them our own hopes, dreams, and memories of growing up. Their smiles become landmarks of specific chapters in our own lives, comforting reminders of years gone by, while the complex machinery of fame quietly turns behind the velvet curtain. When someone has spent nearly their entire existence within the public sphere, living under the intense glare of flashing cameras and relentless media scrutiny, the public often assumes that their story is an open book, thoroughly documented in countless headlines, broadcast interviews, and red carpet appearances. Yet behind the dazzling facade of Hollywood prestige lies the fragile, deeply human reality that every person carries into the quiet spaces of their private life, far away from the studios, the applause, and the manufactured perfection of celebrity culture. To understand the gravity of how a single afternoon can reverberate across the global consciousness, one must first reflect upon the profound vulnerability that exists beneath the surface of fame, where the weight of expectations, personal struggles, and the passage of time intersect in ways that rarely make the morning news until something unthinkable occurs. As we journey through this story and unravel the intricate layers of a narrative that has touched countless hearts across generations, take a moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications so you never miss our in-depth investigative reports and cultural retrospectives. The history of American entertainment is filled with luminous figures whose journeys captivated millions, representing the promise of extraordinary talent nurtured from a tender age. When an artist steps in front of the lens as a young child, the world watches them navigate the perilous transition into adulthood with a mixture of fascination and unspoken judgment. In the late 1990s and the early 2000s, the entertainment landscape was undergoing a profound transformation, moving rapidly into an era where every personal milestone, triumph, and hardship was amplified 1,000-fold by the dawn of digital culture. Performers who rose to prominence during this vibrant cultural epoch carried a unique burden, serving as cultural touchstones for an entire generation of viewers who saw their own youth reflected in the vibrant characters brought to life on television screens and in major motion pictures. The connection forged between such an artist and the audience is distinct and enduring. It is not merely about admiration for a craft, but rather a collective sense of familiarity that feels almost familial. Audiences remember the bright optimism, the undeniable charisma, and the fierce dedication that characterize these breakthrough performances, creating a lasting impression that remains undiminished even as the years move steadily forward and the landscape changes around them. Yet the passage of time is rarely gentle, and the contrast between the sunny heights of international acclaim and the quiet isolation of life away from the spotlight often deepens as the years unfold. To step away from the epicenter of the entertainment industry is a choice many make in search of sanctuary, peace, and personal renewal. Far from the bustling boulevards of Southern California and the relentless pace of metropolitan production hubs, there are regions where the days move with a softer, more deliberate cadence. The rolling landscapes of the American South, with their tree-lined residential neighborhoods, humid summer breezes, and quiet suburban roads, often serve as an unexpected refuge for those seeking to escape the overwhelming noise of public life. In these tranquil settings, amidst the hum of cicadas in the late summer heat and the comforting anonymity of everyday neighborhoods, the boundaries between the world of international fame and the simple rhythms of everyday domestic life begin to blur. Neighbors go about their daily routines, tending to their gardens, running errands, and enjoying the languid warmth of mid-August afternoons, largely unaware of the extraordinary histories and burdens carried by the people resting behind closed doors just a few houses away. It is precisely within these peaceful environments, where the world feels safe, predictable, and calm, that the fragility of human existence becomes most starkly apparent, reminding us that no level of past glory or widespread recognition can shield anyone from the sudden vulnerability of the physical body. The summer of 2026 had settled over the quiet city of Greenville, South Carolina, with the heavy, golden warmth characteristic of late August. In this corner of the country, the middle of the month brings long, bright afternoons, where the sun hangs high in the hazy blue sky and the pace of life naturally slows. It was a day that began like countless others, completely indistinguishable from the peaceful summer weekends that had preceded it. People were enjoying their routines, sharing meals, and resting in the privacy of comfortable homes, completely unaware that a sudden crisis was quietly taking shape behind the walls of a local residence. The illusion of safety in such serene surroundings is powerful. It creates a sense that nothing truly catastrophic could disrupt the tranquil afternoon air. Yet, beneath the calm surface, the human heart remains a delicate, intricate mechanism, susceptible to sudden and catastrophic failure without warning. When an unexpected medical crisis strikes in the heart of a peaceful residential neighborhood, the transition from normalcy to desperate emergency happens in a matter of seconds, shattering the quiet atmosphere and setting in motion a sequence of events that will forever alter the lives of everyone involved. The contrast between the bright, sunny afternoon and the sudden descent of an urgent medical emergency creates an unsettling dissonance that is difficult to comprehend. One moment, the air is filled only with the quiet ambient sounds of a peaceful neighborhood. The next, the desperate reality of a life-threatening crisis takes hold, demanding immediate action and testing the limits of human resilience. It is in these critical minutes that the vast machinery of emergency response is called upon, transforming a quiet domestic setting into a high-stakes arena where trained professionals race against the ticking clock. The tension of such moments is immense, marked by the sharp, terrifying realization that every single breath and heartbeat is hanging precariously in the balance. As the seconds slip away, the gravity of the situation deepens, casting a long, somber shadow over what had started as an entirely unremarkable summer day. The story that unfolded in Greenville on that fateful afternoon is a poignant and heartbreaking testament to the suddenness with which life can change, drawing a line between the cherished memories of the past and the harsh, immutable reality of an unforeseen tragedy that no one could have anticipated. The delicate stillness of a hot mid-August afternoon was abruptly shattered on August 16, 2026, when the quiet atmosphere of a residential neighborhood in Greenville, South Carolina, was pierced by the sharp reality of an unfolding tragedy. At approximately 1:51 in the afternoon, an urgent call was placed to emergency dispatch services from a home where Hayden Panettiere had been temporarily residing. The voice on the other end of the line conveyed a scene of immediate, terrifying crisis. A sudden, catastrophic medical emergency that appeared to be cardiac arrest. Within seconds of the call being logged into the regional computer dispatch system, the calm routine of local emergency personnel shifted into a state of maximum operational readiness. Sirens wailed as first responders, paramedics, and emergency medical technicians mobilized, navigating the sunlit suburban streets with urgent precision. The residence, which had served as a peaceful domestic retreat away from the public gaze, was instantly transformed into the center of a desperate, high-stakes, life-saving operation. The contrast between the ordinary residential setting and the sheer intensity of the emergency response underscored the brutal suddenness with which a life-threatening crisis can descend upon anyone, anywhere, regardless of their past achievements, public stature, or artistic legacy. When the first responders arrived at the scene and crossed the threshold into the residence, they encountered a critical situation that demanded immediate, highly coordinated intervention. Hayden Panettiere was found completely unresponsive, showing no vital signs of consciousness or autonomous respiration. Recognizing the acute severity of the cardiac event, the emergency medical team immediately instituted advanced cardiac life support protocols. Every second carried immense weight as the responders worked with focused determination, deploying their specialized clinical training to reverse the devastating physiological collapse. They initiated rigorous chest compressions, maintaining the rhythmic, exhausting mechanical work of cardiopulmonary resuscitation in a desperate bid to circulate oxygenated blood through the body. The room filled with the urgent cadence of medical commands, the hum and beeps of electronic monitoring equipment, and the rapid deployment of essential medical supplies designed to restore a failing cardiac rhythm. Defibrillator pads were placed with precision as the team monitored the electrical impulses of the heart, searching for any viable rhythm that could be stimulated back to life. As the minutes advanced, the medical personnel introduced powerful pharmaceutical interventions, administering doses of epinephrine through intravenous lines to stimulate the heart muscle and enhance coronary perfusion pressure. Every individual on the scene fought with unwavering focus, utilizing every tool, technique, and protocol available in modern pre-hospital emergency medicine to pull her back from the precipice. The intensity within the room was palpable, marked by the relentless tempo of chest compressions, the rhythmic ventilation of air, and the continuous reassessment of vital signs on the cardiac monitor. It was a fierce, exhaustive battle against time, where the line between life and death narrowed with every passing minute. Despite the seamless execution of advanced cardiac life support measures, the human body can reach a threshold of physiological collapse from which recovery becomes impossible. For more than 40 minutes, the responders poured every ounce of their skill, strength, and clinical knowledge into the resuscitation effort, refusing to yield while there remained even the slightest possibility of reviving a cardiac rhythm. The relentless ticking of the clock during an acute medical resuscitation is an agonizing ordeal for all present, marked by an acute awareness of diminishing physiological margins. Emergency medical personnel are trained to maintain absolute focus and emotional discipline under extreme pressure, yet the atmosphere in such moments is heavy with profound human gravity. Every cycle of CPR, every administration of medication, and every diagnostic check of the monitor represented an earnest, desperate attempt to turn the tide. Yet despite the exhaustive and heroic efforts of the paramedics and emergency personnel who fought tirelessly on that warm South Carolina afternoon, the vital signs failed to return. The heart, having suffered an overwhelming and insurmountable arrest, remained completely silent against the electronic sensors. The realization that medical science had reached the absolute limits of its capability settled over the room with a cold, devastating finality. At precisely 2:32 in the afternoon, the lead medical authority at the scene made the sorrowful and inevitable determination. The resuscitation efforts were officially concluded, and Hayden Panettiere was pronounced dead. The silence that followed the cessation of the life support equipment was deafening, hanging over the residents in stark contrast to the fierce activity of the preceding 40 minutes. She was only 36 years old, merely days away from celebrating her 37th birthday. The news of such a sudden and absolute departure sent immediate shockwaves through the local jurisdiction and prepared to ripple outward to an unsuspecting world. In that quiet room in Greenville, the vibrant energy of a beloved artist, mother, and cultural icon was extinguished, leaving behind an indelible void and a profound sense of disbelief. The immediate transition from an urgent medical rescue operation to the somber protocols of a formal death scene underscored the tragic reality that life can end in a fleeting fraction of an hour, entirely altering the course of history for family, friends, and millions of admirers worldwide who had watched her shine since her earliest childhood years. The abruptness of her passing at 36 years old carries a profound and piercing tragedy, cutting short a journey that had been marked by exceptional talent, extraordinary resilience, and an enduring quest for personal peace and creative fulfillment. When someone passes away so young, on the very threshold of a new year of life, the natural human response is one of bewilderment and deep sorrow. The circumstances surrounding the sudden cardiac arrest immediately prompted standard procedural inquiries by local authorities, as is customary in all unexpected and unattended pre-hospital fatalities, to fully understand the underlying physiological mechanisms and medical events that precipitated such a catastrophic outcome. As the initial reports began to take shape within the local law enforcement and medical examiner networks, the quiet community of Greenville found itself at the epicenter of a monumental cultural moment, one marked by profound grief, solemn reflection, and the painful recognition of how fragile the human condition truly is. The weight of those 41 minutes between the emergency call at 1:51 and the final pronouncement at 2:32 represents a harrowing timeline of human struggle, medical devotion, and heartbreaking loss. In those critical moments, the full force of emergency medical capabilities was brought to bear in a desperate attempt to preserve a precious human life, yet nature and fate proved immovable. The suddenness with which a routine summer day transformed into a historic tragedy serves as a haunting reminder of the unpredictability of human existence. For the first responders who answered the call, the day would remain an indelible memory of a fierce battle fought with absolute dedication against impossible odds. For the world that was about to receive this devastating information, the date of August 16, 2026, would forever be etched into collective memory as the afternoon when the light of an iconic talent was tragically extinguished far too soon, leaving a legacy of art, courage, and memory that will endure long after the silence of that South Carolina afternoon. The news of Hayden Panettiere's untimely passing at the age of 36 resonated across the globe with profound and enduring sorrow, marking the tragic conclusion of a life lived almost entirely under the intense illumination of the public spotlight. To understand why her loss strikes such a deep and resonant chord within the collective consciousness, one must trace the extraordinary trajectory of a career that began in early childhood and blossomed into one of the most recognizable cultural legacies of the early 21st century. Born in Palisades, New York in August of 1989, Hayden entered the world of professional performing arts before she had even reached her first birthday, appearing in national commercials and quickly establishing herself as a remarkably gifted young talent. By the mid-1990s, her presence on daytime television captured the attention of audiences nationwide through recurring and emotionally demanding roles in beloved soap operas like One Life to Live and Guiding Light. Even as an adolescent, she demonstrated an emotional range, poise, and dramatic authenticity that set her apart from her peers, earning critical praise and opening the doors to major Hollywood productions that would define the landscape of American popular culture for years to come. As the late 90s transitioned into the new millennium, her versatility as an actress became undeniably evident across an impressive array of prominent cinematic projects. Audiences around the world fondly remember her heartfelt and memorable portrayal of Cheryl Yost in the acclaimed biographical sports drama Remember the Titans, where her sharp wit, infectious energy, and natural screen presence stood shoulder to shoulder with established Hollywood legends. She lent her expressive voice to animated classics such as A Bug's Life and Dinosaur, and soon became a familiar, comforting presence in family films and major studio releases throughout the early 2000s. Yet it was her transformative television role in the groundbreaking series Heroes, which premiered in 2006, that firmly catapulted her into international superstardom. Portraying the indestructible high school cheerleader Claire Bennett, she became the literal and symbolic focal point of a global cultural phenomenon. The memorable phrase, "Save the cheerleader, save the world," transcended the confines of television screens to become a defining motto of 21st century pop culture, solidifying her status as an iconic figure of a generation and showcasing her rare ability to balance supernatural resilience with deep, vulnerable humanity. Her artistic evolution continued to expand as she transitioned into more mature, complex, and demanding roles, most notably her starring portrayal of Juliet Barnes in the critically acclaimed musical drama series Nashville. In Nashville, she delivered a masterclass in dramatic depth, combining her extraordinary acting abilities with formidable vocal talent to depict a complicated, fiercely ambitious, yet deeply wounded country music artist navigating the perils of stardom, trauma, and personal recovery. Her performance earned her widespread critical acclaim, including multiple prestigious award nominations, and proved beyond doubt that her artistic capabilities were virtually limitless. Throughout this demanding chapter of her life, she also dedicated herself passionately to international environmental advocacy and ocean conservation, using her public platform to champion the protection of marine mammals, raise global awareness about environmental preservation, and speak out fearlessly on behalf of causes far greater than the entertainment industry itself. Her courage in standing up for global conservation efforts demonstrated a profound sense of purpose and ethical conviction that extended well beyond the boundaries of Hollywood red carpets. Yet beneath the extraordinary professional accomplishments, Hayden Panettiere was also a human being who endured unimaginable personal hardships, grief, and emotional battles. The intense pressure of growing up in the relentless glare of the media spotlight placed immense burdens upon her well-being from a very young age. In her later years, she spoke with profound honesty, humility, and raw vulnerability about her personal struggles, becoming a courageous advocate for mental health awareness, emotional healing, and the destigmatization of postpartum depression and personal trauma. Her transparency resonated deeply with millions of people around the world who saw in her journey not an untouchable celebrity, but a fellow human being bravely fighting to reclaim her peace, happiness, and inner strength. The devastating sudden loss of her beloved younger brother Jansen in early 2023 was a catastrophic emotional blow that shook the foundations of her life, a profound familial tragedy that she carried with deep sorrow and quiet dignity. Despite these immense personal tribulations, she continued to persevere, returning to the screen in major film franchises and demonstrating an unyielding resilience that inspired everyone who followed her path. The circumstances of her sudden departure on that warm August afternoon in Greenville, South Carolina, just days shy of her 37th birthday, serve as a heartbreaking reminder of the fragility that accompanies every human journey. The loss is felt most acutely by her family, her loved ones, and her young daughter, for whom Hayden's legacy will always be defined by a mother's deep love and an enduring maternal bond that transcends physical absence. Beyond her family, the void created by her passing is felt by a vast global community of colleagues, artists, friends, and fans whose lives were indelibly touched by her warmth, her creative brilliance, and her radiant spirit. The outpouring of tributes from across the entertainment world, the environmental conservation movement, and everyday viewers worldwide highlights the sheer breadth of her impact. She was an artist who possessed that rare, luminous quality of genuine authenticity, making every character she played feel tangible, relatable, and deeply alive, while conducting her personal life with an honest openness that comforted and empowered others facing their own quiet battles. As the world comes to terms with the reality that Hayden Panettiere's earthly chapter has reached its final, tragic conclusion, her artistic contributions and human empathy remain permanently etched into the cultural fabric of our time. Her expansive body of work across television, film, music, and philanthropy stands as a timeless monument to a woman of extraordinary talent, immense passion, and profound emotional courage. From the fearless young cheerleader who captured the imagination of the planet to the complex, powerful performer who held audiences spellbound with her voice, she gave every ounce of herself to her art and to the world around her. In the quiet streets of Greenville and in living rooms across the globe, the memory of her bright, vibrant spirit will never fade. Though her life was tragically cut short far before its natural time, the warmth, strength, and indelible beauty she brought into the world will continue to inspire, comfort, and endure for generations to come.